Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to have a very relaxed, very chill little crafting project today. Because I'm tired and I don't feel like working very hard, but I still want to craft and I wanted to chat with you. So here's what we have going on today. I'm making these little, you can see I've been stamping already. I've been making some of these little page embellishments. I'm calling them page edge embellishments, but I'm realizing what they actually are is they're actually clusters. You know, here's a little pocket. Look, that could go really nicely on the flap of that pocket. And they're just a couple of pieces. But what makes these sort of distinctive and different from other clusters that I historically have had a hard time making, to be honest, these little decorative pieces are made out of tags, and they're made out of manufactured tags. Generally, I make all of my tags, but occasionally I will, if I see at an estate sale or a thrift store, I see a package of tags like this that are already made, I will pick them up. This apparently I got on clearance at Craft Warehouse. Here's some smaller ones. There's others that I just have picked up in those bargain bins over time. I have no idea why I have these. I guess I do use these occasionally for when I sell my journals, but I keep all of these manufactured tags, factory-made tags together. And, I ran across them and I thought, oh, why don't I do something with those? And I had seen, I believe it was on Pinterest, this idea of making these little clusters and cutting the tags off very abruptly. So you can see there's a tag, but it's cut very severely off. And that's sort of an unexpected kind of shape. And it was just intriguing to me. So I thought I'm going to gather together some of my tags that I've purchased in various packages over time. And I'm just going to put them together. And I just think they're really cute. I did bring the camera in just a little bit closer because we're working with these tiny things today, so I want you to be able to see them. So I'll try to remember to show things a little more closely. Let's just get started with these. I want to keep this one here, and there's my little sample page, and there we go. These were, I don't know, were these a Ranger thing? I don't really know. Why don't I go ahead and do do this this one, and maybe I'll pair it with this is one I actually did make with a. Now I'm gonna stick with the pre-made ones today. There's two, because I'm going to have time to do several of them. One of the things that I, as I was planning for this, is my two tags that I used in this. I wanted to make certain that they had really strong color contrast, but I wanted them neutral, kind of grungy and neutral. So I'm going to use my Distress inks and a blending brush and just do a bunch of inking here. Now the part that I cut off, I'll be able to use that scrap for something else. This one might be a little bit of a larger cluster than the others. And if I had coffee dyed this, I could bypass this step, but I have not. But I'm not worried about it because I'm relaxing today. It's Sunday afternoon. Dan is upstairs watching the not the Cowboys. What is he like? The Broncos. Oh, and I was going to use my other, okay, this was Vintage Photo, and this one is going to be Scorched Timber, so it's going to be a lot darker, but I want that contrast. Anyway, so he's watching the Broncos, who are playing the Giants, I don't know. I pay very little attention. I'm glad that he enjoys it. I know he's in a good mood. I mean, not that he's ever in a bad mood, but I know he's in an especially happy mood when the Broncos do well. So, however, he takes their losses well too. So let's see. Yeah, that'll be some. I think I'm going to go ahead and do just a bunch of the blending. So this will be a little bit of a mass make. And then we'll pair them together because this is the type of thing that's going to be nice to have. Nice to have several of them around. Let me pull this one out. And what else do I have in this little tag box? Oh, this round one is good. That's one that came off of some sort of punch out situation. And these are a little more slick. Yeah, I'll just get, here's one that's coffee dyed. I'll just get these out, and I'm sure this is more than we'll be able to do, but I'm just going to prep a bunch of them, and then we'll start pairing them together. I don't know how well, this is kind of a slick surface. Is that going to take this ink? It might not. I guess it is a little bit. There we go. Anyway, so Dan's watching whatever sports ball it is that he is enjoying today, and we're getting the work done on our garage, the new siding, or not new siding, new drywall and insulation in the garage. Our wonderful contractor Jose wanted to start on it this weekend, and we said sure. So he's out in the garage. So you may hear Dan cheering upstairs. You may hear Jose in and out. You may hear all kinds of interesting things going on here at the Shea Kenlin, but that's okay. These blending brushes, I know people use makeup brushes for them for this purpose now. I might get a little bit closer to you there. So makeup brushes tend to work well for getting distress ink onto a paper that you want to transform. I got these years ago, before people started using makeup blending brushes with distress ink. I used a brand called, what did I order? It was called Life-Changing Brushes, which I've always had a bit of a chuckle at because that always seems like quite a claim. Life-changing brushes, but you know, good for them. They knew what they wanted to promote. I'm not worried about blending down on this end because I'm going to be cutting off that portion of the tag as I put these clusters together. Anyway, I do enjoy using these brushes when I want to do more than just ink up the edges of things. And because I'm going back and forth between the vintage photo and the scorched timber, there's going to be a little bit of blending there, and I really am fine with that. To make certain I figure out which one is which. Yeah, this is the scorched timber. A couple more vintage photos, and then we'll get to the stamping. Because I promised you a relaxed and chill session. We're not going to stress over anything today, are we? Not on this day in weird, wonderful Portland. We had rain earlier today, but it's all cleared up now. There's some, well, it's sunny right now, but you know, that can certainly change quickly. I was actually out at an estate sale and got back a few minutes ago and had some good luck with some paper products. I do love estate sales. You know, there's not a whole lot that I actually need, but I can usually not resist going. And I usually come away with just a handful of things, and only if they were, you know, reasonably priced, as they generally are at estate sales. But I got here, actually, I have it right here. I got 2 of these. I got these, look at these cool things I got. Workman's Time Book. It was somebody that must have had a business and wrote down their payroll, you know, and how much people made every week. And, you know, week after week, it's Mildred, Evelyn, Thelma, Annabelle, you know, Walter, Mrs. Gilbert. There's another Mildred in there, a couple of Mildreds. But isn't that a treasure to have? And I just wonder about their lives. And they put there's 7, but it's definitely not 1970. I think that this was either 1907 or 1917, based on just like the kind of the typeface and the, you know, the wages. Yeah. So anyway, it's a treasure to find any kind of handwritten ledger at an estate sale, because I think those things are usually on eBay for a lot more than that. But for $1 a piece, I thought that was a very good thing. And it's, you know, it's such a privilege to be in somebody's home. You know, going through things that were important enough to them to save over the years. And I always get very philosophical, as I know I've told you, when I come away from an estate sale. There's 2 more I'm going to do here. Then we're going to start stamping and putting them together. So speaking of things I don't need to buy, I certainly didn't need to buy these little tags. But yet, here they are. So we're going to put them to use. And, you know, if you don't have little pre-made tags, you can certainly cut your own. But I really wanted to kind of use these up. But it's I feel sort of like, you know, Gail when I love Gail's Fridays, when she has Forgotten Friends Friday. That's kind of what these are. All right, I'm going to put my distress ink away. And let's do just a little bit of stamping on these. I think I'm going to line them up and just get the same sort of stamp out, and enjoy that ability to mass make. That's probably too many in a row. I got out some of my stamps. That is it. This is a really big motif, but let's see how it works. I think I want to stick with the brown. But what I often have to do with these stamps is I usually have to do a test to see which way is up. And sure enough, this way is up. That was just not easy to see. And that mass stamping is, that's going to be a fool's errand, I'm afraid. I don't know why I feel like I have to save a lot of time. We're not going anywhere, are we? I'm going to pull this out just a little bit more because I'm nervous about getting off camera. There we go. I think I'm going to come back to this larger one because I might like the proportions better with the larger text on the larger tag. But there's room for all of them, isn't there? Yeah, see, that didn't take very well. You know why? Because that reinforcement there lifted the whole thing up. So that is not the greatest. There we go. That's better. I might fill that in with something else. I'm going to set that one aside. Not too thrilled with the performance of that one. Let's do just a little bit of script. Yep, sure enough, I had it upside down. That's what scratch paper's for. Doing that little bit of oh, that looks nice. Yeah, that took to the stamping nicely. I want a fair amount of variety here, so I'm going to, maybe I'll pull out some dark red and we'll get, yeah, no, I don't think I want red. I think I might go for the deep green, because the reason I say that is I have some embellishments that are a little bit on the red side. So we'll pick out those in a moment. And all I really want to do is just sort of get this kind of grungy looking, which I didn't do very well with that. You know why? Because I think this is not a good quality. I think I'm take another look at the juiciness of some of my stamp pads. I've had them for so long. I know I can re-ink them, but then you got to buy the re-inkers. Yeah, that looks nice. And do one with this. And I'm not worried about, you know, I say I'm not worried about stamping on this string, and then I start worrying about it. So we are going to reuse this string. It's stuck on there. There we go. Wipe that green off a little bit. And let's stamp a couple more. Maybe I will use this. Just a little bit of script. And let's do one more. Maybe I'll give these big letters another chance, but I'll do it in the green. There we go. Again, it's stuck on there. There we go. Anyway, it looks like the rain is going to be coming back in fairly soon, but it was very nice when I was out, and I was glad for the people having the estate sale that they had a good day, and the place was very busy. It was run by a couple, the family of an older couple who had apparently been famed chocolatiers here in Portland before my time in Portland, but I thought that was very sweet. Apparently they were very well known in the chocolatiering game, and lots and lots of cookbooks and kitchen equipment and stuff that I certainly didn't need. But it was really, it was a privilege to be there in their surroundings and seeing, there was a lot of advertising kinds of things for their business and such. All right, I think I'm going to start pairing these things together, and I want to have some that are pointing off so that they could go on the right hand edge, and some that can go on the left hand edge. So I think I'm going to move this, and I'm just going to glue a few together, and then we'll trim them off, and we'll get that sort of dramatic look there. I do think I'm going to take some of these strings and give them a little inking. This one's coffee dyed, so that one is already done. Here's one I detached, and I will reuse. There we go. But these, yeah, I saw this idea on Pinterest, as I see many ideas, and it's been on like one of my pinned boards for quite a while, and I just ran across it the other day when I was looking for some new ideas. And the original idea appeared to come from a person, a journaling artist named Bonnie Irvine, and she might have been Canadian. I looked for anything recent from her so that I could link her for, a blog or YouTube or something like that, and I could find nothing. So I don't know the story there, but I just want to give Bonnie Irvine, or Irvin, maybe it's Irvin, but it was spelled like Irvine, California. Boy, I'm getting inky, aren't I? Do I say that in every video? I do. This is not a surprise to you. I should just have that as a disclaimer. Anne is going to get really messy. Well, and also not getting this threaded in very easily. There we go. Anyway, I'm grateful to Bonnie Irvine, or Irvin, for her inspiration for this. Just don't give me credit, because this is not anything that's original to me. That, I think, looks kind of nice. I want one sticking out a little bit more than the other, and then we'll put something decorative there. Let me come in with my art glitter glue and do just a little bit of overlapping. I'm going to try to get those lined up so they're parallel there. And you know what I should have done, but it's easily remedied. I should have inked, well, Anne, I got that. Got that skewed after I accidentally moved it. I want to make certain that I ink the back, not the whole back, but just the top of the back, because if this is sticking up over the edge of a page, I want it to not be stark white there. And some of that smeared glue there picked up extra ink, but that's okay. That's just part of its story, right? All right, now we're going to do that blunt cutoff. And I'm going to put it like this. And there's no rhyme or reason as far as the measurement goes here. I'm just going to cut them off. And again, I think one thing that is intriguing to me, at least, about how this little cluster looks is that you don't expect to see tags, particularly the larger tags. You don't expect to see them cut off abruptly at the bottom like that. But I just think it looks neat. It's just unexpected. And then we'll put some sort of little decoration there, and then we'll make some more. If I was truly mass making, I'd do, you know, all of the pairing, you know, get them all glued together and then decorate one after the other, but I'm not worried about that too much. Again, this is not a day to worry about anything. I have a little piece of lace. I somehow like the idea of a little lace being in the background. You know, tickets are big utility things, and it's just kind of nice to have a little bit of graciousness with some lace, but I might turn it this way. And I might see which one I like better. This is regular lace. I dipped it in some coffee, a coffee solution that had glue in it, Elmer's glue, that I had left over from a project I did the other day. Those little flowers made out of cotton rounds. I used that. A little bit of Elmer's glue in a coffee solution. I kind of like that. Anyway, I dipped the glue in there, and it gave a really nice stiffening process or property to it. Now it's a little busy. I like this one just with the lines. And then what kind of little embellishment do we want to put? I have several. I pulled out my teeny tiny things. I have a couple little hearts. I have a couple of little bows that are cut out. I got that in a digital from Tina. But I have these little bingo markers, and I really have been wanting to use those. So since this is a day to just be enjoying using things that we have been wanting to use for a while, like these tags, why don't I see what that little bingo marker looks like? Yeah, I think that's cute. I think that's super cute. I could put a little ribbon or something with that, but there's no need to over decorate. Again, we're not worried about anything today. And put just a little bit of my Beacon 3-in-1 here, also known as Fabrifix, also known as Fabri-Tac, because that's what works best for any kind of a textile product. And it feels like I'm going to have to clamp them together. So that's easily done with a binder clip, just to hold those layers together so that glue is going to adhere. I'm going to set that aside, and let's do a few more, shall we? I think these are going to be cute. I want to do one that's pointing the other way, so perhaps we do. Take this off because I'm going to want to be splitting this string in half. Yeah, we're going to use this round one, and it's not stamped here, but that's all right because I'm going to mount this one right here. That'll be fine. What handy little things these are going to be to have. I could see using these, and this is just now occurring to me, in a December daily, you know, where you have different page numbers on every page, for a journal that you write in only for a month. And the December dailies are super fun because you can decorate them for the holidays. I guess I did make, before my last craft fair, I did make a December daily, which sold almost instantly. And that was kind of fun. So I guess I should make a few more. Let me know if you would like to make some more December dailies with me and get some of the ideas that we can share together. There's that little one. Now, do I want to put a little textile down there? I have that lace, but I also have this little piece of gauze bandage that I coffee dyed. A little scrap of this has been hanging around for a while. And I can just kind of wad that up, or unroll it from its wad, I guess is more like it. And there we go. Just a little bit of textile gives something nice and inviting, something tactile there. There we go. Now, what should we put on top of that? I have these little hearts, but these are going to be too big, I think. Although that wouldn't be, I don't know. I think that's too big. I'm going to stick with these little things. This one is almost might be too big. Nope, that one's fine. I like that. This is I think you can find this on my whimsical playlist. These cute little flowers that I made out of punched circles. You know me, I never met a punched circle that I didn't like or that I couldn't use for something. That's no credit to me. That's just credit to the beauty of the punched circle. There, that Fabri-Tac is going to be seeping through all layers of that gauze. I'm just going to kind of pull that apart and unravel it just to create some interest along that edge. And let's use some of this very thin string that's already been discolored. Well, discolored, it's been altered in a way that we wanted it to be. You could add little pearl buttons, you know, if you don't mind thickness. You could add any number of things on there if you were using these, you know, maybe on the cover of a journal, which I think they could be really cute, you know, have kind of a square or a rectangular book plate and having this just be an element there on a little collage. Super cute. So I have no idea how the Broncos are doing right now. I have not heard Dan yelling or cheering or having any kind of expressed fandom. What did I said Broncos, right? I'm always getting the Broncos and the Cowboys mixed up, which, you know, that's not a good idea. Of course, it's the Broncos. There we go. Colorado boy that he is. All right, I got this one on wrong because you can see I didn't get my ends together. So I'm just going to redo that. And then maybe I'll do one more. I'm wondering if you have any little tags like this around. I'll use tags, you know, for their journaling properties any day of the week. But the ones that are really small, it's nice to be able to use them just for a decorative purpose as well. I was kind of surprised when I realized that I do have some of these manufactured tags already done, or already, you know, waiting for me. I'll use a little vintage photo here. I'll get this one finished. And again, I forgot to ink the back. just in case it's peeking, it's the top of its little head around the edge. There we go. That's cute. Where's the other one that we did? Oh, it's being clamped down. I'm going to move that clamp, just get the whole thing. Let's do another one. Let's maybe use this big one that has that little blank spot there. What could I use? I want them pointing the right way, so I'm going to go like that. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, and I'm not going to worry about that blank spot there because we're going to be doing some decorating there, aren't we? And while I'm thinking of it, you guessed it, I'm going to ink the back. Not the whole back, just the top of its head. Just in case. Speaking of the top of its head, my little Barney was not, he had to get a haircut. He wanted the haircut. And we took him after school because that's one of our grandma and grandpa things, is to take him for his haircuts. He was not happy. And he just never complains about anything. So I knew he really had to be sad about it. He wanted the haircut, but it was not the same person that we normally have at this neighborhood salon. And she kind of went in right away with those razors and just practically shaved the sides of his head. It's not completely shaved. There's hair there, but it's really short on the sides. And he likes his hair a little bit messy, and he couldn't mess up his hair. And he held it together really well. I mean, he's 9, so he's a big boy. But he's still, I mean, I have cried over haircuts before. I don't know if you ever have, but I remember getting a really bad haircut one summer when I was in college in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it was a very good summer in a lot of ways. I was doing an internship at the Cedar Rapids Gazette there when I was still in undergrad. And but I had to get a haircut that summer, and I got the worst haircut of my life. I mean, I'm not kidding. It was so bad. And yes, I did cry after I got that haircut. I did not share that story with my grandson because he has absolutely no reason to be interested in Grandma's bad haircut in 1977. Nor do you have any reason to be interested in it, and I thank you for listening. But anyway, I certainly didn't blame Barney for being a bit frustrated about his haircut. He says, it just feels so weird. And I said, but honey, it looks really good. And it did look good. I mean, it really did look good. I said, honey, if it looks really nice. He said, I don't care about how it looks. I care about how it feels. And it feels so weird to not have any hair on the sides of my head. So anyway, well, character building experience, I guess, for the young man. That's, I'm just not loving these hearts. Well, I'm loving the hearts, but they're just not right. What about this button? Nope, too many circles there. What? Would another tag work okay? No, that repeats that. So I could use the other side, I guess. No, I think I'd like to stick to my plan. Here's a little piece of lace. I've got, what did I do with those? Oh, here they are. I have some little dragonflies. Anyway, so that is my Barney's Tale of Woe from getting a haircut that was much shorter than any of us expected. But I think he's probably getting used to it. This was on Thursday. Haven't seen him since then, so I don't know how it went at school on Friday. I'm sure if anybody even noticed, which most little boys his age are probably not going to notice, but if anybody said anything. But again, he just didn't care what other people, he has no concept of fashion or of wanting to look good. He just didn't like how it felt with it being really short on the side. So hopefully he's gotten more used to it. Let's see if these little dragonflies will go. Little punched out dragonflies, just out of cardstock. I need to get started on his Halloween costume. He is going to be a rook, a chess piece, and I have the felt to make the headpiece, and I got a black tablecloth at the Goodwill, just for some inexpensive fabric to kind of make him sort of a little drapey thing over around his body, and then the headpiece, and I think he's going to be very happy with that. He was eager to be a chess piece this year. Great. Let me do a little bit of inking around, and then we'll put the string in those tag holes. What a fun and different way to use tags, right? Somehow I just always feel like for tags that go into journal pockets, I somehow feel that I just feel a little more comfortable with the tags that I have made myself. I don't want a really, really precise kind of look that I would get out of a packaged tag. Maybe I'm being snobbish. That's entirely possible. But for this purpose, I thought this was a nice way to use what I already had. And it's something you don't expect to see. To see tags in this kind of formation where they're just, very severely cut off the bottom. But I think they just look kind of intriguing. This is the fiddliest part of the whole project, is getting that thread put in there. Let's pull this out again. How nice does that look on a page edge? Oh, I love that. Now this one is non-directional, so it could go either way. You could have it going in and have a little tuck spot there if you wished to. You could have something at the top of the page. But I'm just sort of seeing this as a page edging craft. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have some of those little tags sitting around that you're not knowing what to do with, here's our one that we had under the clamp. Maybe this gives you an idea or two. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.